Hey, what's up? Today is Tuesday, the 27th of August. It has been, I believe, 17 days or around that time since I last flew. Again, it's been a while and it really showed today, to say the least. It really showed. It wasn't too much of a regression, but at the end of the day, if you don't have that constant reinforcement, it's going to add up. It's going to start showing. Now, normally, I wouldn't want to go 17 days without flying, but I got sick. It was a really nasty flu, and it had me out. I had 2 chances to fly, but twice I had to turn it down because I would have been too sick. I would have been too sick to fly those days. But at the end of it, praise be to God, I was able to come out of it safely. I was able to come out of it with feedback, and I know what I need to do going forward to ensure that it doesn't happen again, other than, not get sick. So as you can see, we're doing another type of this video where I'm just talking while driving home, because honestly, there's no other better solution that you guys would want to bring up to me. As far as I know, this is much better on me than getting home and then recording the video. So I'm just going to keep on doing it like this, and it's a different pace of video, switches up the style, and to me it feels a more authentic, I guess. It's a more unscripted, because as I never really wrote scripts for the previous debriefs, but I did have the chance to sit down and actually see how I'm talking to myself. But at the end of the day, it's whatever. As long as I'm able to still get the messages across, share my story, give any advice where necessary. As far as I'm able to do that, as long as I'm able to do that, it's good enough. So today was different flight, different type of flying today. We didn't do any of the special procedures. We didn't do any flapless or go arounds or anything like that. It was just normal takeoffs and landings. Now, despite that, a lot can still happen in just the normal takeoffs and landings, and it really showed today. And there were 3 major things I need to look out for going into my next flight, and 2 of them actually are interconnected, and they both have to do with my flare. Now, if you remember from the previous video, and I'm pretty sure any other video I've made since starting the circuits, and I'm pretty sure any other person's circuits experience or traffic pattern experience, is the flare and just the landing overall is going to be where most of the work is put in. Now, before, I was always flaring too late, and in a sense, that's still happening. But today, what happened a lot more was that I was flaring way too early, not necessarily too early, but I was flaring excessively. But yeah, the way my instructor explained it to me is that I wasn't using enough muscle power to keep the nose up enough in the cases where I didn't flare enough, and when I was trying to correct that, I ended up overcorrecting that and over-flared the plane, which, if it was any type of larger aircraft than the 152, that would have led to a large, or should I say, a very noticeable float across the runway. I have a question for you guys regarding this type of video. How much ambience do you want for me to include when I'm trimming down the video? Do you mind just having sections where I'm just driving probably no longer than a minute, and then it will cut back to whenever I start speaking again? Or do you just want it to strictly be about the debrief, in which in that case it will just be cut to only when I'm talking, and then the driving is simply as it is, the background, rather than being in addition to what I'm talking about? Let me know. So I mentioned how the flare was an issue, and on top of that, I also had my reoccurring issue of keeping my wind correction, and more specifically, getting fixated on something else and then losing the wind correction I had already applied. Now, this is something that is very common when it comes to flying. Fixating is just a human thing. We really do end up losing track the moment we take our eyes off something. When I was doing my maneuvers, that used to be losing track of my altitude whenever I was fiddling with something else. But now, it's me losing track of my wind correction in the circuit pattern. At the end of the day, you can't really complain about it. All that's left for you to do is adapt, because that's just how flying is. There's a lot that you need to be taking in, and a lot that you have to be aware of. You can't really allow one certain value to one certain variable to overwhelm you. You have to be on top of your game. You have to be checking everything and everything else at the same time. There's just no excuse for it, because the moment you stop being aware of everything, the moment you fixate on something that isn't everything, that's when you start to fall behind the plane, and that's when issues can start to happen. Now, those were essentially the major issues with today's flight. There are some other minor things, but that was just more of a rustiness rather than something that's definitely slacking behind. Now, again, the real cause, or should I say, one of the largest factors with today's issues was, of course, alright, slight change of plans. My other phone ended up running out of storage. So I couldn't record any further on that. And I was also trying a new route today, so I wanted to put some more focus on the route itself. So I didn't immediately set up recording again, but hey, I'm finished going through that new route and we're back on the road, back on my next phone. So that's going to be 2 phones I have to draw footage from, and also 2 aspect ratios, because I forgot I had this camera aspect ratio set to be 1:1 instead of the normal 9:16. So it's going to look like a special difference when it's all edited together, but I pretty much said everything I needed to say at the end of the day. Going back to what I was saying is the importance of being able to have that repetition back to back to back, because the longer in between each flight, of course, or the longer in between anything that you're practicing, that's another chance for you to forget it. And unfortunately that happened, but fortunately that's not the end of the world. That's just how things go, and I just have to put in some extra work later, which I will. I'll put in some extra work on the simulator and make sure I apply all that feedback which I received. And that is pretty much it. That sums up flight number 13. Just a bunch of takeoffs and landings, a bunch of work, extra work that needs to be put in, but we're moving. That sickness had me out of commission for a while, but it's not going to hold me back any longer. I'm feeling healthy again, praise be to God, and I'm just going to keep on putting the work and make sure I don't disappoint. If you made it this far in the video, thank you again so much for watching. If you want more of this content, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and leave a comment. Let me know, how was this video, what could I improve on, etc. My name has been Robert Watson. Remember to always be improving. I'll see you again very soon. God bless.
Yeah. I only tell you the truth. I ain't got nothing to lose. Yeah, I gave my life to God and I'm still ballin'. Ain't nobody that can tell me I ain't all in. Late at night I hear the devil steady calling me. That's when I pray to the Father that He give me strength to fight these monsters.